it's Kristin and welcome to Cooking with Kristin. I haven't done one of these in quite some time, so forgive me if it's not the best that I've ever done. For those of you that are newer to Cooking with Kristin, you know, it is what it is. I don't have a camera person, I just have me. I do the best I can, and I do have this cupboard that cuts off half of my head. But I do the best I can, and I will bring, show you close-ups when I feel like it is needed. I do just want to say thank you to a subscriber, her name is Vienna, that sent me this super cute apron. I'm going to come out here and see if you guys can see a little bit of it. So see how it's real cute. It's got kind of like the sweetheart neckline, I think is what that's called. And it's got cute little ties that match in the back. Very cute, I love it. And she actually makes them and sells them, so I'm going to list her email below in case you want to have a custom-made apron. She can hook you up. Alright, so what we're making today is rhubarb dessert. This is one of my family's all-time favorite meals, it's not a meal, it's a dessert. One of my family's favorite desserts. We generally only will have it in the spring and summer when rhubarb is fresh, but I have made it all year round by simply freezing the fresh rhubarb. And when you thaw it out, you just have to drain it or it gets to be a big soupy mess. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and make for you today. There are kind of three parts to it. There's the crust, the middle rhubarb goodness, and then kind of this candy crunchy coating on top. So let's go ahead and get started with the crust. First, what you're going to need is 1 cup of flour, which I have right here, and then you need a teaspoon of baking soda and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I always tell people, don't eliminate the salt if the recipe calls for it, because it adds a little something. You could certainly cut down on it if you wanted to, but I wouldn't eliminate it completely. So I go ahead and I have that in a bowl here, and I'm just going to kind of mix this up a little bit before I put it into my mixer. Just give it a little zhuzh. So we're going to put that in here. You can do this by hand. Maybe I'm lazy. I prefer to use my mixer. And then to that, you're going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. Now let me say this right off the bat as well. This recipe is written for a square pan, like a 9x9 pan. I am actually doubling the recipe for you guys right now in the measurements I'm giving you, so it will go into a 9x13 pan. So I will list the recipe below for the single batch, not for the one I'm making, but for the single batch, and I'll list the size of the pan and everything as well. So I'm going to mix that up and we'll be right back. So I've let that go for just a couple of minutes so that the butter is well incorporated into the flour mixture. And again, you certainly can do this by hand. I used to do it with a fork, with a pastry blender, whatever works for you. Now you're going to put 2 eggs into this. And I have a little ramekin here that I always break my eggs into first, just to make sure. That's a little tip if any of you are trying something for the first time, cooking or whatever for the first time. It's best if you break your eggs into... Actually, I should do this first. Into a ramekin or into some sort of bowl. It doesn't have to be this. And that way, if the egg is bad, you're not going to ruin your whole thing that you've already done. So I'm going to beat that up, put this one in. And do the next one. I'm going to beat this up, put it in, mix it all together, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. It kind of has come together and looks a little bit crummy in there. You can see it like that. So that's what you want it to look like. Your next step then is just simply to pat it into your pan, whether you're doing this, as the recipe is listed below in a 9x9, or whether you're doing it in a 9x13. You just dump this in here, and then you want to pat it in. I'm going to take my rings off. Just make sure it's kind of all evened out like that, Again, I'm not a professional. This is just how I do it. I feel like I say that about makeup and about baking. I'm one of those jack of all trade kind of people. Jack of all trades, master of nothing. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, boy, that doesn't seem like there's anything sweet in here, trust me, the rest of what is in this recipe is sweet enough that you do not need any other sweet. Okay, so that's your crust. The next portion of this is the middle part, is the easiest part. What you want to have is, for the double recipe, 6 cups of sliced rhubarb. I just have them in little kind of tiny pieces, not too tiny, not too big, nice in between pieces. And you're just simply going to dump that on here. And it will cook down, so make sure that you have it all evened out. And then this is the most interesting part of this recipe, I think, is you're going to use 2 3-ounce packages of strawberry jello. So I just have these out of the boxes. These are just, you can use whatever brand you want. So strawberry jello. I have not tried this with sugar-free only because the topping of this has a ton of sugar in it, so it would be pointless. So I'm going to just go ahead and rip these open. And all you're going to do with this is just sprinkle it right over the rhubarb. And it probably seems like a lot, but rhubarb's pretty tart. So I kind of do half of it with one so that I make sure that I'm not getting too much of one spot. It's the OCD in me. And here you thought it just applied to makeup. By the way, let's remember I did not say this was a healthy recipe by any means. The last step to this is the crunchy candy topping part. This is the part that when my mom would take this out of the oven and set it on the counter to cool. When we were younger, we would go by and each of us would try to pick off a piece of this. It's almost like a strawberry sugary candy sort of thing. Trust me, it's delightful. So what I have in here is 1 cup of flour, and then I have 3 cups of sugar. I know. We're going to put that in here. I'm just going to grab a fork to zhuzh that around and get it. You want this to be well incorporated because we're going to put in a half a cup of melted butter. Sometimes I think to myself, seriously? So I did figure this out once, way back in the day when Weight Watchers was out. The very first kind of point system with Weight Watchers, and one piece of this was 8 points. That, my friends, is a lot of points. This is a treat. You don't make this all the time. It's a good thing that, rhubarb isn't around all the time. And I usually only freeze enough to make 1 9x9 pan, because once or twice a year of this is enough. But, you gotta live your life and enjoy it. So here I have some melted butter, and again, this is half a stick, or this is a stick or half a cup of butter. And you're just gonna mix that in here. And just incorporate that. You're going to get kind of this crummy, sugary goodness. So my hands are clean, just so you know. And the last step I usually will do once I mix it with a fork is I just get in there with my hands because I'm going to put it on here with my hands anyway. And just really make sure that it's all incorporated well. So I will bring this up and show you. It's almost like it's fluffy, if that makes any sense. Oh, my descriptions of food are just spectacular. So that's what it looks like. I hope that makes sense. It's almost fluffy-like. So I do hope that I said it, but if I didn't, 350 is the temperature that you will have preheated your oven to at this point. I'm assuming nobody actually cooks along with me when I'm doing this, so it's okay. So then you're just gonna put this by handfuls. Yes, all of it, all over here. And again, it looks like a whole bunch, but what it will do is, melt down and dissolve down into, and you'll see, when I'm done cooking it, I'll show you, that it just, like I said, it just kind of dissolves down into there and leaves this crusty, sugary, yummy topping. That was the part we all fought for as kids. I'm sure this is just full of all the things people are trying to avoid. Sugar, flour, I'm making this because we have a house full of people coming today for the 4th of July weekend, and so this is a nice treat that we're going to have to share. So don't worry, Bob and I are not going to eat this all ourselves. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven. This is going to bake for 50 to 60 minutes. I always set my timer for the shortest amount of time and then check it. But truly, and I can't remember who I've heard say this, your nose will tell you. You will start, with cookies or anything like that, your nose will tell you when things are starting to get done. So kind of pay attention to that too. I'm going to wash my hands, get this in the oven, and I will show you when it's done. So this is what it looks like when it is all done. I hope that you enjoyed that recipe and that you guys will try that out with your families. I probably will get this up for you after the 4th of July, so it won't be for the 4th of July. But throughout the summer, it's a really great treat while you have rhubarb available in your stores or at your farmer's market or that sort of thing. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. I'd be happy to get back to you on that. And at the end, I will show you, I'm just going to put in a picture of what it looks like after I've cut it. So that you can see that it's hot right now, and I'm not going, I want it to look nice when my company comes. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut it later, but I will put a picture so you can see what it looks like. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!